Hey guys, welcome back to Kitchen Court Cases, where we watch court in my kitchen. I just had to share this absolute gem from Judge Manning. Please enjoy first the intro and then what happens just a little bit later on after she does her very detailed intro.
Stay in the booth. Stop playing with your hair. This isn't Helen's House of Hair. We're not here to get our hair did. We're not doing our twists. We're not braiding. We're not dreading. We're not picking at our zits. We're not at a dermatologist. We're going to sit here and pay attention, and we'll get through this as quickly as possible. I know that they do med call. So if you are to get meds, I don't want you to miss meds, but do not get up and walk out of that booth. If you do, your case will be reset, probably 30 days. I don't know. Follow my rules, gentlemen. We will get you in and out of here as soon as possible. I'm going to call your name. When I do, everybody's on mute because the only people talking tonight are lawyers and me and case managers. So when I call your name, wave your hand so that I can see you. All right. I know you're handcuffed in Cobb County, and I'm sorry, but do the best that you can. All right. This tonight is what I like to call a you problem, everybody. That means you're the one that got arrested and allegedly charged with a crime. So I'm going to talk about your bond. I'm going to talk about conditions that go with your bond. You need to listen carefully. There's going to be some stayaways, some no further contact, no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Some people may have ankle monitors. And if you have an ankle monitor, that's going to have to be placed on your ankle. You're going to have to follow those rules. Now, once again, this is, like I said, a you problem. Your lawyers are going to not email you, copies of your bond orders. But guess what? If you make bond before that letter gets there, you're not going to have it. So it's your responsibility, not your mama, not your grandmama, not your baby mama, not your sister, grandpa, godmother, anybody. It's your problem. You have to call your attorney and say, hey, I need a copy of my bond order because I forgot what it says. And if some of you, I may tell you to stay out of Fulton County. And trust me, when I say stay out of Fulton County, I mean stay out of Fulton County. All right? So that's why we're not going to turn around. We're not going to walk. We're going to pay attention. I promise you, unless it's meds, there's no reason for you to open that door, talk to people behind you. If I call your name or if I call somebody's name and you go, oh, the guy's on the other side of the door, he can wait. I will come back to it. You are the most important people in here, and I need you to hear and understand everything that I say. But right now, there's a couple of booths sometimes that can't hear. So I want everybody to just wave at me if you can hear. All right, we got it. Everybody can hear. That's fantastic. I'm going to call your name, style of the case, tell you what you're charged with. I'm going to hear from Bostic, our pretrial officer. I'll hear from the defense attorney, and then I will hear from the prosecutor, okay? Once again, nobody else is going to talk. Nobody else is going to move. 4 South, booth 2. Get on in here and sit down. You missed the rules, but stay there, okay? Now, this isn't television. You don't wave at people. You don't do anything like that. All right, you ready? We're going to start with number 16, Reginald.
Your Honor, before we get started, can you remind everyone not to speak over each other for me, please?
Oh, absolutely. The punishment for speaking over one another is everybody sits with 1 day with Miss Gandy and either has to transcribe a recording where people have spoken over one another, or you're going to have to practice taking down when people talk over one another, and you will sit there for 1 day and you will help her. 1 day, booth 5 South, booth 4. You're already turning around and talking to people. 5 South, booth 4. You're already talking to people. Okay, but let's not do that. All right? So if you talk over one another, if by chance Miss Gandy has to take herself off mute and say something, we're all in trouble. Okay? Just don't talk over one another, please. We're going to start with number 16, Reginald Blunt. Can you wave me? Once I call your name, you got to wave at me. All right, Mr. Blunt. Position 16, Mr. Cazzoli. 21 CP 203-901, 519 days without indictment. There is a $3,000 split bond as of November the 15th. Theft by receiving stolen property, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, and theft by receiving stolen property. Free trial.
Reginald Blunt, 34 prior arrests, at least 9 felonies, including robberies and theft by receiving stolen properties, 2 FTAs, 2 misdemeanor, 1 arrest for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Gazzola, and everyone, I keep my promise. I'm going to email Madam DA tonight with the ones that have all of these big, huge numbers and they haven't been indicted. Go ahead, Mr. Gazzola.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate you reading out the CP number and the days in jail. You did not misspeak. That was a 21 at the beginning of that CP number. He has been in for a very, very long time. He had a co-defendant in this case with a more severe charge, an aggravated battery, in fact, who bonded out 3 days. So that was October 24th of 2021. And Mr. Blunt has been sitting in here on a possession charge ever since. Your Honor, Mr. Blunt, he still has a good address at 1615 Sandtown Road, Atlanta, Georgia, where he was living with his whole life. He's lived there his whole life. His sister lives in Georgia. He's a high school graduate. He was unemployed when he went in. And as mentioned quite a bit, he has been in now a year and a half, Your Honor, and has not gained employment since. He has no money for bond. His bond is already at $3,000, Your Honor. We are asking for every possible legal stretch to get a UJR on all of these matters, a UJR through the jail, so that he might be able to get his life back together almost 2 years after he was put in without an indictment.
All right, what says the state?
Good evening, Your Honor. Let's get Mr. Blount out of jail. Can we give him a UJR on that second charge, which is the one that has the bond, all other conditions to be imposed that are on the existing bond order, ankle monitor, etc.
I don't know if I can give him one on the possession of firearm by a convicted felon.
Oh, let's see. Can we make it an SOB?
No, Mr. Gazzoli, can he afford, what is it, $112 to get out?
Mr. Blunt, wave your hand around, sir. If you have $112 that you can, or somebody can help you out with to get you out of jail. $112. I know that might be a lot, especially since you haven't been working, but you have that, sir.
I have. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have $106 on my books. I mean, that's my money. I don't have nobody who can come get me, but I can sign my own money off my book. I got $106 to my name on my book.
Somebody may take that. The only thing is, if I make it lower, it'll cost more money. So we'll leave count 1 at UJR through the jail, count 2 at 1,000, count 3 UJR through the jail. No further contact with YENENESH, last name BEKELE, and no further contact with Blake, BLAKE, KE, Browning, BROWNING. Stay away from 455 North Avenue. You're gonna have well, you know what? You've been in there a year. Forget about the ankle monitor. But no further contact with your co-defendant, Cassius Williams. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You've been in well over a year, so you don't need an ankle monitor. Best of luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, is there a reason we can't do $100 flat? If he has
$100 cash?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, if he has it, I just don't want anything to get in the way of him being
Sure.
able to. Can you manage $100 flat, sir? $100 cash?
Through the jail,
Yes, sir.
I can sign the $100 off my books through the jail. Yes, I can.
Okay. I don't know how the inner workings of the jail work, but Your Honor, in your experience, would that be sufficient if he has $100?
Okay, excuse me. I won't be able to make. I will not be able to make a bonding company, but if I can pay it through the jail, I can pay. Like if I can sign the money off my books.
Okay, here you go. $100 cash bond. We don't know how it works through the jail. $100. Okay? You got to pay $100. So talk to whoever there at the jail that knows how all that stuff works. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank
Your
you.
Honor,
Mr. Dawkins. Look at that.
Can we leave the ankle monitor on him as a condition
Oh, you
since
wanna
he is
leave
he
Okay.
is a repeat offender?
All right. Ankle monitor paid for by the county, 24-hour curfew. Then court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, location, and a schedule. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to Mr. Cazzoli. Okay?
Thank you.
Best of luck to you, sir. All right. Lieutenant Bembry. All right, Mr. Beck, this is position 22 CP 212408, 188 days without indictment, possession of marijuana, possession, manufacture, distribution of marijuana, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, possession of controlled substance schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, selling, possessing, distributing, or offenses associated with ecstasy, brake light turn signal violation, and giving false information to a law enforcement officer. Pre-trial, and there's a $100,000 good bond as of December the 13th.
30 prior arrests, at least 6 misdemeanor convictions, 6 FTAs, 3 arrests for probation violations, 7 felony convictions, 1 being an aggravated assault, and a firearm by a convicted felon. Nothing further.
And I got 22.1 ounces of weed, 16.9 ounce. Another, the package was 16.9 ounces of weed, 1.5 grams of coke, 16.585 grams of MDMA, and 0.92 of PCP. Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bembry is 43 years old. He has 3 children, all of whom live in Georgia. His entire family also lives here as well. He received his GED. Prior to his arrest, he was working at Cardamom Warehouse and he was doing production work there. He had worked there for 13 months prior to his arrest. And he does have that standing job offer whenever he gets released. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. The address that is on file is still a good address for him. His oldest son has been maintaining it while he's been in jail. Because it has been 188 days without indictment, we are asking for a bond not to exceed $20,000, Your Honor.
Where's he going to live?
I'm sorry. It is the address that is on file, which is 1869 North Avenue Northwest, and that's in Atlanta, Georgia. The zip code is 30318.
That's where you're going to live, sir? All right. What says the state?
Good evening, Your Honor, and the state would consent to lowering the bond to $75,000.
Okay. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that on a weekly or monthly basis. However often you get your schedule. You can't just get a job, then quit and think that you can leave. All right. Let's see. And you also must reside at that 1869 North Avenue Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. I think I said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Let's see. Oh, see a co-defendant. So we got 10. What was this one? 10. 15. The old brake light violation. Woo! $100. And then 2,000. 10, 15,000, $100, and 2,000. Got that, Miss Hunter?
Yes.
$100 on post. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth. All right, we got Cameron Wicks. There you go. All right, Mr. Lang. Got 22 CP 214405, 112 days without indictment. He has a $6,000 split bond with no bond on count 1 of robbery, battery, and theft by taking misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
Excuse me, just one sec, Judge, before pretrial starts. I see that Mr. White has joined us. So with the court's permission, I will sign off if that's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right.
Bye.
Glad you made it home, Mr. White. Have a good evening. All right, go ahead, Bostic. Pre-trial.
I'm trying to find which, there it is.
What do you say?
2 arrests in Georgia, 4 in Louisiana. I'm not showing dispositions or convictions, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Lang.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wicks is 39 years old. He lived in Georgia for 3 years at the time of his arrest. Does have a good address on Lansing Street in Atlanta, Georgia. Lives there with his brother. Graduated from high school in the state of Tennessee in 2001. Was unemployed at the time of his arrest and obviously hasn't been able to find something while he's been in custody, but will hopefully be getting something soon as he's able to get out. Hearing the nature of his history, Your Honor, looking at these charges, as Your Honor stated, he's already got bond on the battery and theft by taking totaling $6,000. I'm asking the court to consider a bond in this case not to exceed $10,000 on the robbery charge, bringing the total bond to no more than $16,000.
All right, what says the state?
Judge, the state would note that actually the state would not object to a $10,000 robbery charge.
All right. Ms. Hunter, make sure you note that on that bond order, please. So 10,000, 5,000, and 1,000. 10,000, 5,000, and 1,000. Agreement on the state. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 285 Centennial Olympic Park. As a matter of fact, don't go around Centennial Olympic Park. No further contact with Seth Bradley. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, place of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, sir. Because before you put you residentially challenged, if you're not going to be living at your brother's, you had better supply an address where you're going to be living. All right, you have to supply a schedule weekly or how often you get it to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. 10,000, 5,000, 1,000. Ankle monitor paid for by the county. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. I think that was it for them, right? We got them in ACDC yet? No. So hold on one second. How about this? Is Chevelle Hunt? All right. Here you go, Mr. Lane. All right, we got position 3, 22 CP 214575. 103 days without indictment, no bond as of December the 10th. Possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. 1.05 pounds of weed, allegedly. Free trial.
5 prior arrests, 1 FTA in 2020 open case, 22 CP 211751 marijuana with intent to distribute, Schedule 2 firearm during. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Lane.
Yes, Your Honor. First and foremost, I do want to point out this case is actually scheduled for a preliminary hearing in front of Your Honor next week on the 28th. At that preliminary hearing, I think Your Honor is going to hear additional information. As it goes to bond in this case, before I get to Ayala, I want to notify the court that 1.05 pounds of marijuana the court is citing that was allegedly found in the vehicle was found under a book bag at the feet of his co-defendant in the front seat of the car, in the glove box at the knees of his co-defendant in the front seat of the car, and in the cup holder right next to his co-defendant in the front seat of the car. He was in the back seat where none of the marijuana was found. I do think that's going to come out during prelim, but I would ask Your Honor to consider that as far as bond amount. Additionally, Your Honor gave that co-defendant a $10,000 bond per charge last week on the 13th, and that co-defendant has already been released from custody. Mr. Hunt is 28 years old, born and raised here in Georgia, lives on Mount Airy Drive in Atlanta with his cousin. He has a 4-year-old daughter whom he sees almost every single day. He got his GED in 2012, then studied a year of college at South Georgia Tech, studying to be an electrician. He is currently has applied for SSI at the time of his arrest. He is waiting to hear whether or not he's been accepted for SSI. He was in an incident where he no longer has full use of his hands, shoulder, or one of his feet. So he's unable to work fully because of that issue. Looking at the history, the treatment of the co-defendant in this case, and the information I presented to the court, I would ask the court to set a bond of $5,000 per charge.
All right, what says the state?
Judge, the state would note that the suspected marijuana is at the GBI crime lab. However, it has not yet been assigned to a scientist for testing. There has been an expedite put on the testing, but it's not yet been assigned. Judge, with a pound of marijuana, I believe that that's a, I believe that's a $25,000. According to the chief judge's order, the state would ask for an additional $15,000 for the firearm for a total bond of not less than $40,000.
Is he gonna live in Fulton County, Mr. Lane?
Let me double check, Your Honor. I know the address is Atlanta, but I don't know if it's Fulton or DeKalb side. Mr. Hunt, you just gotta raise your hand, thumbs up or thumbs down for me. Do you know, is your address in Fulton County? Yes, Your Honor, it's on the Fulton County side.
Yes, okay. No further contact with your co-defendant, Antonio Collins. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 116 Decatur Street. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county. For you got only reason you can leave your house is court, lawyer, medical, and employment. But you have to provide proof of employment, name of your employer, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that every time you get your schedule. You cannot do that if you do not give your schedule to the ankle monitoring company and to Mr. Lang. I believe it does say 25 and 10, 25,000 and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Ankle monitors paid for by the company. By the county. You can go ahead and leave the booth.
Your Honor, I apologize. What amounts did you say? I was
25 and 10.
25 and 10.
Far north, booth 3. Come in and sit down and shut the door. Who do we got over there in courtroom 1?
Judge, in courtroom 1, I believe it is Corey Griggs.
Are you Corey Griggs?
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right, Miss Pinto.
Here, Judge.
All right, we got 22 CP 210682, Corey Griggs, 252 days without indictment. You have a $97,750 good bond as of November the 3rd, 2022. Possession of a firearm. Let's see. Make sure only one thing was dismissed, and that was a drug-related object. So you got possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, reckless driving, driving improper erratic lane change, pedestrian in roadway, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, purchase, possession, manufacture, sale of marijuana, possession of cocaine, possession of tools for a crime, fleeing and attempting to elude, willful obstruction, and failure to yield the right of way. Pre-trial.
15 prior arrests, 4 felonies, couple of burglaries, 3 arrests for misdemeanors, 1 FTA, 1 arrest for parole violation. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Miss Pinto.
Can we clarify, when you say 4 felonies, are those convictions or felony arrests?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
Convictions.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Mr. Griggs has been incarcerated 252 days on this case. He has a bond of over $100,000, and the case has not been indicted yet. If released on bond, he would reside on Wilmer Street, which should be the address in the system. He is 36 years old. He's lived in Georgia his entire life. He has 4 children, ranging in age from 18 to 14. 13. The 13-year-old is unfortunately in DFACS custody. He's been in DFACS custody the entire time that Mr. Griggs has been incarcerated, because Mr. Griggs is the parent who cares for him. He's also on the autism spectrum, which makes that whole situation more difficult, Judge. If released on bond, he does plan to return to a former job at Bulldog Movers. He spoke with them, and they have confirmed that he can get a job there. In addition, he plans to get a demolition certification and transition to that type of work when able. And I'm sorry, Judge, I said he was 36. He did have a birthday in the jail, so he's 37 now. He does have strong ties to the community with his job, and he's lived here his entire life, and his family. As stated, his bond is over $100,000. That is not a bond that he can pay. And for what it's worth, there was a co-defendant in Mr. Griggs's case, and he does have a strong defense, Judge. And he does intend to return to court and assert that defense.
We are asking for a bond that's reasonable for someone in his financial circumstances, which would be $35,000 total.
All right. I'm asking that every single gentleman in there raise their head, sit up straight. Right now, raise your head. Booth 5 North, booth 2. Look at that. Fell asleep. 5 North, booth 2. 5 North, booth 2. Booth 3, would you mind going over there tapping him and telling him to wake up? Tell him to wake up. Everybody keep your head up. Don't play with your hair. This is it. He fell asleep. You're in court, gentlemen. There you go. Wake up. Keep your head up. You fell asleep. I should continue your case. Thank you for doing that. Keep your head up. Keep looking at the camera. Y'all, but if you're not a trustee, you're sleeping. So stay awake. I've been working this morning all morning. Stay awake. Keep your head up and don't bend down and pick your hair. What says the state?
Judge, the state would note that this defendant has another open unindicted case 22CP 210681, which is a burglary case. He also has a case 22CR00744